today's news, opposition accuses the government of nepotism and cronyism.
Dr. Ricardo Wheatley confirmed as next director of BVI House Asia.
Opposition asks the government to forgive Craft Alive debts.
U.S. corporate giant sues VI retailer, alleges trademark infringement.
We've got the details on Trump's first impeachment hearing and
your weekly arrest blotter. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
The Mighty Sparrow.
Chocolate City, Tortola's BVI. I'm coming to you. You ready? November 16, 2019. It's Tico's 50th anniversary and celebrating Ticolipso. You hear me? A community calypso fundraiser. I can't wait to see. It's gonna be fantastico.
Don't make a run. Yankees gonna Sparrow take over.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
When you need to stay connected with friends and families at home or abroad, the best choice for you is Freedom. CCT Freedom. With the lowest rates in the market, our Freedom plan gives you unlimited calls and texting. Plus, our Freedom One package includes 10 gigabits of super fast unlimited LTE data and unlimited calls to the BVI, USA, USVI, Canada, Puerto Rico, and UK lines. Why pay for overages when you can enjoy CCT Freedom? Stop by at one of our stores today and speak with one of our representatives to find out more about our CCT Freedom packages. Welcome, everyone. It is Thursday, November 14th, 2019. I'm Javon Wilson.
And I'm Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
Now, Kyla, we're in the midst of Culture Week in the BVI, and I know this is something that we look forward to annually. It's really a celebration of our identity and who we
culture.
are. And over the past week, I've been really mesmerized by the various designs.
Yes, it's
the
been
school
nice.
kids. Everybody's been showing up and out. Today, I am wearing a product from the Party Boutique, of course, Geraldine
really
Hopkins.
nice.
This nicely tailored bow, of course. I'm sure you've been seeing it on social media viewers. Just really intricately designed. Geraldine's been doing amazing things with the Party Boutique. If you need her to cater to your next event, of course, you can hit her up on the Party Boutique on Facebook, I think, as well as Instagram. But she's reachable.
Yep.
And there are, of course, a lot of other designers we've been seeing across the BVI really doing their thing. So kudos to you guys.
It's been great. It's been a fun time. Tomorrow, I think we'll see even more. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, everybody's going to show up and show out tomorrow. All right, viewers, topping our newscast for today. Coming out of a live press conference yesterday, members of the opposition are now accusing the sitting government of nepotism as well as cronyism. Now, for those of you who do not understand what that means, nepotism is the unethical practice of offering jobs to your relatives or friends, while cronyism is pretty similar, appointing your friends or associates without regard for qualifications or inability to do a specific job. Now, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Marlon Penn, said he is worried about the current rate at which the government is positioning their political affiliates within statutory boards and other administrations. Listen in.
Nepotism and cronyism is at an all-time high under this administration, where former political candidates and cohorts are being placed in consultancies throughout the government and the statutory organizations. This is happening in unprecedented numbers, a process that seems to be a literal assembly line of one $90,000 contract plus contract after another. This is being done irrespective of the individual's ability to perform the requisite task. The proverbial placing the square pegs in round holes, which continue to plague and threaten the viability of these institutions. while at the same time, well-qualified Virgin Islanders are denied opportunities in their respective fields.
Now, Kyla, even that statement was a little wide, so our newsroom then asked Honorable Penn to just pinpoint a bit further, and this is what he had to say.
Professionals at these organizations are being intimidated to resign, they are being demoted, reassigned, and in some cases, downright fired. These are young professionals with families, mortgages, who deserve a right to earn a living in our beloved Virgin Islands, despite their political affiliations. This behavior is wrong and is unbecoming of the way we operate in the Virgin Islands.
You mentioned that the statutory boards are not functioning as they should. Are you able to identify a specific instance where someone was demoted or threatened in any way from the board?
I won't call the names here, but I will specifically identify persons who I know that was working at the Pier Park were transferred back to the port itself. Persons who were acting as a deputy managing director after Hurricanes Irma and Maria were demoted back down to operations, where you had a person who was the secretary to the actual MD made the deputy managing director, and I learned recently that is now acting as MD. You know that MD has gone on leave for 3 months. Someone that doesn't have the requisite experience in port management.
Quite a number of strong allegations coming there from Honorable Penn, and this is alarming information. And of course, rightfully so. Yes, we ought to be very concerned about this type of situation, Kyla, especially when you see a party or a sitting government showing this type of favoritism. But I'm not surprised. Is it wrong? 100%.
Yes.
But is it new? Absolutely not.
necessarily.
Administration after administration continue to follow this pattern. You campaign on transparency and good governance, and once in power, you give opportunities to your own people. Every government, viewers, you can agree with this, across the world does it, but locally we've seen it with especially the boards like Honorable Penn mentioned. We've even seen it in the past with ministries, with persons doing a clean sweep from the permanent secretary all the way down. So this is definitely not something new. I think it boils down to what we as members of the electorate want. Do we want to stop it completely? Do we want to not have that opportunity to reward the people who support us throughout our political campaigns and so on? I don't think so. I think what we have to look at is drawing the boundaries, because when you think about where we are as a country, as a territory, and especially at this critical juncture, where you want stalwarts that can truly take the country forward, you want to ensure that you respect the foundational rules. Things like a background check, criminal background should make a difference on whether someone is appointed or not. You also want to look at a person's qualifications, which I think is the most defining factor in these cases. But nobody follow the rules. And this is not, I don't think, a VIP thing or an NDP thing, or, I just believe this is a continuous cycle and we continue to see no changes being made.
But how do we break that?
How do we break that? I'm actually curious to know what are your thoughts on this?
Like you said, I think we see it time and time again. Each government accuse the other of doing it, and then we see it once again once a government gets in, I guess, rewarding the persons that were there and offer their support during that campaigning season. But I think we just see that fluctuation a whole lot, and I think every 4 years we see a full new administration,
a full slate. And sometimes that's at the expense of economic growth in our territory, and that should not be. So I do agree with Honorable Penn's suggestion of putting in place a PAC, which is the Public Accounts Committee, which is intended to take on the responsibility of accountability and essentially police the government's affairs. Honorable Penn mentioned that after a series of inquiries, the order paper was amended yesterday to include a discussion today today on the possibility of this committee.
Yes, I guess we'll just have to see how that goes. Dr. Ricardo Whitley has been confirmed by Premier and Minister of Finance, Honorable Andrew A. Foy, to the post of Director of BVI House Asia, the Virgin Islands Government Representative Office in Hong Kong. The appointment will take effect on the 1st of January 2020. Dr. Whitley will succeed present Director Mrs. Sherry Ortiz as her tenure comes to a close in 2019. Dr. Whitley brings a wealth of knowledge and international experience to the post, having lived and worked in the Asia-Pacific region for 4 years, in addition to living and working in both the United States and Europe. Within the region, he has served as an assistant professor in the Department of Political Science and Sociology at North-South University in Bangladesh from 2014 to 2015. He also served as an assistant professor in the Graduate School of International Studies in South Korea from 2011 to 2013. In preparation for his directorship, Dr. Whitley has undertaken orientations at both BVI Finance under directorship of CEO Elise Donovan and BVI House Asia under current director Sherry Ortiz. Dr. Whitley will serve dually as the director of the Hong Kong office and Asia Pacific region representative. He will act as the BVI government's official spokesperson in the region, strengthening relations between the BVI and the Asia-Pacific region. I do want to congratulate Dr. Whitley on this new position, and we wish him all the best.
I'm really happy about this appointment. I think Asia is a growing market for the British Virgin Islands, and it's always really good to have persons who can have their ears and, you know, their eyes on the ground.
Right.
And when I think about Dr. Ricardo Whitley as well as Benito Whitley, both of these brothers are really versed when it comes to international issues and where we're positioned in the BVI and how that affects us.
Right.
And so I'm really glad to see this appointment, to be honest.
Yes, much of our financial services, that market over there makes up a lot of our financial services here in the BVI. Yes, so we do need someone who's very capable over there representing us.
And he's well qualified.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Dr. Whitley, congratulations to you. We have a lot more news ahead after this commercial break.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching 284 News. By now, you are all aware of the issue of non-payment of rent from the vendors of Craft Alive, which has now resulted in a debt of $500,000. Now, one may wonder how this could have escalated to a point where almost $500,000 is outstanding. Well, while some vendors are committed to payments, it was reported that a substantial amount have not paid rent in almost 6 years. To add to that strain was the atrocities of 2017, of course, hurricanes Irma and Maria, which vendors said made it even more difficult for them to pay up. With this new predicament, vendors now face eviction some 3 months after consulting with the subject minister, Honorable Kai Raima. It was reported that he met with them back in July and collectively came to an agreement that the debt should be cleared within a 3-month grace period. However, according to city manager Ms. Janice, no attempts were made to make payments were made in July This, of course, prompted the minister to then send a notice letter in August, which was met with no response, and another in September with notice to settle. Now, with no substantial action to meet a settlement, an eviction notice was then served for the month of October. Now, as of yesterday, members of the opposition are now asking the current government to simply forgive the $500,000 debt that spanned over the last 6 years. Honorable Vanterpool is imploring the government to exercise leniency since he does not believe that a 3-month period was enough time to clear the balance. Honorable Alvaro Keynes specifically asking that the debt be forgiven. Now, for those of you who do not know, the average rent for one of those huts is about $200 monthly. Get this. $150 October through April and $250 from May to December. This means that their annual rent amounts to $2,400. Now, once that hit the media, residents became enraged at what they consider to be a reasonable cost that is still not being paid. And while, yes, it does seem like a fair amount, we also wanted here at 284 Media to get the vendors' side to the story. So, Kyla, we did reach out today. Myself and my partner, Ricky, we went over to the Craft Alive Village because I think in every story, there's your side, my side, and then there's the truth.
Definitely.
Surprisingly, so many details came up today. Besides our interview with the artist, the main artist there, who had a wealth of information to share, he mentioned coming from King Garden Bay and the challenges he's gone through as a vendor there. He spoke to a lot of difficulties. He also mentioned initially when the Pier Park was open, which was one of the most, I think, profound comments I heard today. He mentioned specifically Honorable Mark Vanterpool promising to build a boardwalk from the Pier Park to the Craft Village to ensure that there's a direct connection for tourists to hop on over. But there, of course, that did not happen, and he's very disappointed. He also mentioned during the hurricanes, he had to foot the cost to rebuild his hut. And, it's been difficult. It's been very difficult. So a number of, a number of alarming things arise. One person spoke to the fact that by the time the ships, they get into the BVI is usually the last or the second to last stop. And so tourists are going to other countries where you have advantages like duty-free shopping. And so when they get here, it's one of two things. Their monies have been already depleted, or the things they're seeing here is considered expenses. And I had another vendor who attested to the fact that, there are no tax breaks for these vendors. And so, of course, the markup is going to be a lot. And so these are some of the challenges that they're facing there. Sadly, another vendor actually opened her logbook to show us. She didn't want to do this on camera, but, she showed us her sales for the last, month. And on average, this woman was literally just making $40, $50 a day. And it's, it's difficult, and I do understand. But equally, there are concerns because some persons are making an effort to pay, but others have been very adamant about not paying a dime. And I think that's where, you cross the line. We cannot continue to do this for free. These buildings have to be upkept. A lot of persons also spoke to the management as well. And I think the city manager, this falls under her portfolio. But a lot of vendors complain that the village is not being well managed. Some are calling for more entertainment. Some are calling for food bars. Some even complained about cross-selling. And that's a big deal because when you go into the Craft Village, you see almost everybody selling the same thing. That's one. So nobody's really pushing or trying to, trying their best to be more creative and find different streams of revenue. Also, one food and beverage vendor mentioned the fact that she was the only one hired to sell food and beverage, and now other vendors who are selling other things have now begun selling. So it's a myriad of issues there at Craft Village. And so I think it's of major concern to everyone.
I'm glad that we were able to get both sides of the story. I think, like you said, equally it is a difficult position for both of the parties to be in because, one end is not making money, and then on the other end can't necessarily just give that rent free. So I hope we come to some sort of common consensus.
Well, the opposition is asking for the debt to be forgiven, and that too was another question I asked. I asked them. I said, "What do you think about the opposition proposing that the debt be done with?" And they said they actually didn't agree with that.
Okay.
They said, "Listen, we want to pay." As a matter of fact, one said to me, "We've had our internal meetings on ways that we're going to try and come up with the monies." One said persons went ahead and started borrowing monies. Another had to resort to the bank for loans, which, I mean, it's difficult to catch up with those type of financial responsibilities. But some persons are genuinely making an effort. And when you think about the craft village, it really speaks to the cultural fabric of the BVI. I think that was the intention. I honestly don't think it would be a great idea for them to be evicted and just shut it down. So I'm really hoping that they can come to a resolve. Now, the minister did rebut a little bit. I just want to get to that. Rebut, of course, to what the opposition said yesterday.
Yes.
And let me just get to that. The minister was basically saying that all of what he said, the members of the opposition who raised the matter on outstanding fees due to Craft Alive vendors are well aware that the outstanding fees in regards to vendors at Craft Alive were incurred during their tenure in office, and it remained unaddressed during their tenure in office. The members of the opposition who raised the said matter may also be aware that this government is having ongoing discussions with the vendors at Craft Alive on this matter. Trying to preempt the final outcome of these discussions to seemingly seek political credit seems to be a far stretch. Nevertheless, this government will remain steadfast in purpose and diligent in actions in this matter, as well as all other matters involved, to ensure the well-being of the people of the Virgin Islands. And the minister did say as well that he intends to reach out to the vendors as soon as possible for them to have, of course, another meeting and hopefully come to a resolve.
Definitely, we'll see how that unfolds. Also, St. Thomas Source Online reported a dispute over use of registered trade name has led retail giant Target Corporation to file a civil lawsuit against a Virgin Islands company doing business under a similar name. Attorneys representing the giant corporation recently filed a 2-count civil complaint in the U.S. District Court. According to the complaint, which was filed on April 29th, Target says corporate officials contact the executives from VI Target Liquidation Center LLC in October, asking that they cease and desist from using a logo they said was designed to confuse consumers. VITLC, doing business as VI Target, began doing business several months ago in a retail space in St. Thomas. Okay, we see the two logos there on the screen. A portion of the complaint describes the alleged elements of trademark infringement, pointing out that the font or style of lettering used in the local logo is almost identical to their own. VITLC operates a discount department store on St. Thomas, Virgin Islands under the name VI Target. Its exterior store image predominantly displays the name Target in red letters alongside a red and white bullseye design, nearly identical to the bullseye design mark, and which collectively are similar to the Target and bullseye design mark. Those similarities, they say, are deliberate and are intended to trick consumers into thinking they are doing business in a Target store. If a practice was to go unchallenged, they said, it would devalue branding tools the corporation spent millions of dollars to establish. When corporation representative wrote to the local retailer outlining their complaint, court documents said the company received a written response rejecting Target's request to cease and desist use of the name VI Target. No scheduling of hearing in the newly filed lawsuit has been posted to the district court calendar on St. Thomas so far. How do you feel about this?
Girl, copyright is such a big deal these days. I mean, we've seen it. We've had personal, as a brand, personal interactions with it. Just reflecting on the Miss BVI live coverage, like we were thrown off the internet several times because of copyright laws that related to music. And you know, for established brands like Target, it's a big deal. And most times, like, I don't even see how this can work out for the smaller brand VI Target, because I mean, when you spend so much money, it's like you rightfully said, invest in marketing and managing a company, it's a bit offensive for somebody just to
pick
come
up the
by,
name,
and it becomes confusing for your consumers as well. So I think more and more we see people stamping down on it, and it's becoming, you know, something that we're really not accepting anymore.
Definitely. So still ahead, a new revelation at Trump's first impeachment hearing and your weekly arrest blotter. More news after this commercial break.
When you need to stay connected with friends and families at home or abroad, the best choice for you is Freedom. CCT Freedom. With the lowest rates in the market, our Freedom plan gives you unlimited calls and texting. Plus, our Freedom One package includes 10 gigabits of super fast unlimited LTE data and unlimited calls to the BVI, USA, USVI, Canada, Puerto Rico, and UK lines. Why pay for overages when you can enjoy CCT Freedom? Stop by at one of our stores today and speak with one of our representatives to find out more about our CCT Freedom packages. Welcome back, viewers. It was a historic day yesterday on Capitol Hill with the first public impeachment hearing of President Trump. The day started with never-before-heard revelations that had all of us glued to the television. Now, we know that you may not have had time to watch the entire thing, but we still managed to pull out, I think, one of the more defining moments. Now, right out the gate, a new revelation that the most senior U.S. diplomat to Ukraine, Ambassador Bill Taylor, about President Trump's priorities in Ukraine. Taylor testified that an aide overheard a call between President Trump and the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland. Taylor said, quote, "The member of my staff could hear President Trump on the phone asking U.S. Ambassador Sondland about the investigations. Ambassador Sondland then told President Trump that the Ukrainians were ready to move forward. Now, following the call, the member of my staff asked Ambassador Sondland what President Trump thought about Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland responded that President Trump cared more about the investigation of Biden, which Giuliani was pressing for," end of quote. Now, Mr. Taylor further said that at the time he gave his deposition, which was on October 22nd, he was not aware of this information, but of course he's choosing to include it now for completeness. That incident taking place just one day after the infamous call between President Trump and Zelensky, in which Trump asked for a favor for Ukraine to investigate the Bidens. The big claim is that President Trump withheld hundreds of millions in Ukraine aid, although these monies were already appropriated by Congress, in hopes that he could use it to leverage a political investigation into his political opponent, Joe Biden. Yesterday's historic hearing was just the beginning. There are about 9 more people that Democrats have already scheduled to testify in open session. Tomorrow, Friday, is Ambassador Maria, the former U.S. envoy to Ukraine that was recalled back to the U.S. by President Trump just in May after what she called a months-long concerted campaign against her by Rudy Giuliani and his associates. The aide that also overheard the call that we spoke of earlier before, his name is David Holmes. He too will be testifying tomorrow, but Kyla, this time around behind closed doors.
Yes. So now we have this week's arrest blotter. On the 3rd of November 2019, police arrest and charge Cecil Leslie, 42, of Seacoursby for assault occasioning actual bodily harm. He appeared before the magistrate court and was reprimanded to Her Majesty's prison. On the 6th of November 2019, police arrest and charge Elmo Connor Jr., 40, of Seacoursby for assault occasioning actual bodily harm. He was granted bail and in his own recognition to appear before the magistrate's court. On the 6th of November 2019, police arrest and charge George Anthony, 41, of Palmtown for failure to provide blood and urine for laboratory tests and drunkenness when in charge of a motor vehicle. He was granted bail in the amount of $3,000 with one signed surety to appear before the magistrate court.
Well, viewers, that is it for today's news. Quite a mouthful today. Be sure to like us on Facebook at 284 Media, as well as 284 BVI on Instagram, as well as Twitter. I'm Javon Wilson.
And I'm Kyla Kenesha Forbes. We'll see you again on Friday as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news. Happy Thursday, everybody, and have a good afternoon.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.